Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of the iConis podcast, brought to you by the co-host you all love to tune in and listen to. One, it's me, Barry 3D Carter. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, on my side, the man, the myth, the legend, my cousin, the man who could have been a transformer, would have been a subwoofer. One and only.
DJ Rod C. How low can you go?
Oh, how low can you go? Bass. Okay, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna try to behave this time. Lies. So you can see the name here. You're wondering, hey, what's going on? And today, wherever you listen to this podcast, thank you for tuning in, as I said before. And we are going to go hard for International Women's Month. Now, we did our episode last week for March Madness, and it kind of coincide, so it kind of, bleeds over, but this is what we're starting off with. So before we get into that, we got to do our normal round table. So first and foremost, support the books. Without the books, you won't have the shows, and you won't have the movies, and all that other stuff that we love to...
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff that we love to embrace. So make sure, if you're out in Kitchener, please go and see Wes over at Wow Comics. Tell him we said hi. Him and the boys will definitely hook you up with some great stuff, from comic books to collectibles to statues. You've seen some of them on our backgrounds over the years that we've been doing the show. So yes, that's for sure. If you're out in Montreal, make the trek over to our old stomping grounds on the South Shore back in Brossard. Go over and check out Check Swing Comics. Tell Trevor we said hi. They got everything from sports cards to Dungeons and Dragons books and all other role-playing books. And of course, comic books that we talk about. And if they don't have it, they can get it. Trust me, small shop, but loaded with stuff. On top of that, keep an eye out because the boys are back and we're all over. We've done a couple of shows so far, and that's for A Touch of Gray Matter. So A Touch of Gray Matter, A Touch of Gray Comedy, look for us. It's myself along with Zulf Ali, Dave Sokolowski, and we usually have a special guest that joins us on stage when we're doing our live shows, and we'll have a recorded show starting soon enough in the future. Just everyone, Dave's doing a whole lot of charity work, so that is amazing and good on him for Dave Sokolowski. So keep an eye on his post and see where you can donate to help out him and the Widow's Sons. They do a lot of great fundraising work, and then of course we please remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let this show be a secret. Rate and review. We go through this all the time, and this helps the channel grow and keeps us doing what we like to do, and we like to hear back from you. So that I think that covered most of it. And of course, as always, this episode and all our episodes are recorded on Podbean. So you can find iconis.podbean.com. That's a mouthful. And you can see the shows, and we have links below. So, please sign up to Podbean if you're thinking about doing any kind of podcasting. And it doesn't even have to be on comic books like we do. It can be on any subject that you want to talk about and any format. So they are really great at helping you get that library and getting all the information out there and having it linked to wherever people download and stream their podcasts from. So definitely one to look out for. On the last note, the man that makes us look so pretty, the man that if you mention his name will give you a discount. This man is the unseen member at times, most of the time, but he's always felt, his presence is always felt, he's always here. Rod, who am I referring to?
J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts. If you need templates, any kind of media for your business, for your online presence, no matter what it is, Jay will hook you up. You tell him you heard about him on the iConis podcast, and he will give you the blessed be discount. Oh yeah. Right on. Now, that brings us to today's episode. Today's episode, Rod, you can introduce this. Rod was the one that called out this one, and I'm like, right on, I support it. Let's go. Who are we talking about today, Rod?
Ladies and gentlemen, as the words say upon top of the title, it goes by iConis is proud to present. Now, we're not talking about no kitchen utensils or anything in the kitchen and fire and ice, because, opposite attract. They're not good for each other. Fire melts ice, fire melts ice freezes fire, or makes it cold that there's no. It's so confusing. I miss school.
Opposites attract. Fire and ice.
Opposites attract. But, ladies and gentlemen, listen. Who are these characters? We're talking about some characters from the DC world, DC universe, and we're going to get into it. These are some very unique characters. Two wonderful ladies who have very unique powers, and as their names say, fire and ice. That's basically a good indication of what their powers are. So let's get into it.
Oh yes, absolutely. I was happy that you called these two out because they kind of escaped my vision at one point. I mean, there's so many people to talk about, so many characters. But Fire and Ice, good combo, good team. And they didn't start off as a team that way, but everyone just kind of puts them together. So we'll get into it. So we're going to break it down. So first, we're going to talk about Fire. And we're going to break this out. We're going to talk about Fire, get into her backstory, talk a little bit about her origin. And then we're going to do the same thing for Ice. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to fan cast both Fire and Ice. You know, I got my picks for Fire and Ice. Rod's got his picks for Fire and Ice. We don't know what our picks are for each other. We just go get into it and see how we agree. And as the saying goes, let's go. Yeah. Right on. So we're going to break it down with Fire. So when Fire first came out, Fire, first of all, the character made her first appearance in the Super Friends comic book, issue number 25, back in 1979.
Oh, that Super Friends?
Super Friends. You know?
Yeah, wow. That's a deep cut, ladies and gentlemen, right off the bat. That's
far back. And we're not even talking Super Friends, the cartoon. We're talking the comic book by DC that ran in tandem with the cartoon and had other expanded storylines. So she made her first appearance, Super Friends, number 25, on October 1979, created by E. Nelson Bridewell and Romoa Farden. Forgive my pronunciations. You know the show. I always get the names wrong. I apologize to the people out there. I'm trying. So she's had many origins over the time, and they've gotten retconned. So we're going to try to piece together the basis of it. So when she first made her appearance in there, her name was Beatriz da Costa. She's Brazilian. So she's got that Latino heat. Right. Okay. And her name at the time was Green Fury. Right. She wasn't Fire at this point. She went by the Green Fury, and her powers, depending on which thing you go, which origin you go with, it started off that she got her powers through a mystic. It was given to her by a Brazilian mysticism, like Brazilian magic. They don't really get too much into it, but it's Brazilian magic. Now, her first appearance, as I said, back then, she started off and she was the CEO. She was the president of Wayne Enterprises over in Brazil. Right. Oh, okay. So that means she's already got ties to Batman. She's working. So that's how she came into her. And I think, okay, fine. She was the president of Wayne Enterprises in Brazil. All right. So that means she would know Bruce Wayne. She wouldn't know Bruce Wayne as Batman. She just knows Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's bank account. To the rescue. All right, we've gone through that. You've seen it. Okay. So hilarious. And she gets the powers. Now, when she had her powers, she got her powers. So her powers are magic based, and she's able to exhale flame. So she pretty much blows fire out of her mouth.
Fire. Yes.
And the powers were very rare. I mean, she was able to magically change her costume. She would get green hair, and then she would breathe out green flame, like rah, like a dungeon dragon. Busta Rhymes. And she would use that to fly. So she wouldn't fly herself. She would just kind of tilt her head down, looking at the ground, and then blow.
Basically, it sounded just like a banshee.
Yes. But she would use the flames to propel her through the air. That woman got a strong neck because she got to keep looking down the whole time and blowing flames.
Hard facts.
I know there's jokes in there, but this is not that show for it. So shame on you.
I just realized where you went.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Shame on you. Shame on you. All right. See me on my comedy stuff, and then we can talk. Okay. So she would be able to fly. Her clothing, she could change it at will. And she had a limited capacity to project hallucinations. So that's what her power was. Now, I think they could have done more with that. I think that was to me, that particular origin, in my opinion, was a little bit rushed.
Yeah.
Rushed. I like her second origin a little bit more, and I'll tell you why. Or there's part. Let's say she's had like 3-4 origins, and I think there's things I like from each one that would make sense to me if you put it all together to make one solid one. So that's part one of her origin. Rod, what do you think of that particular part of her origin? Is that something? What stands out for you?
It's I'm not trying to say low base entry level, but I mean more stuff could have been done. I mean, in a sense, if you're having someone who have fiery type powers, mystical fiery powers, they could have the mystical end of basically her having clothes that she can change on will. Okay, sure,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
wants
It was
to change
79.
her,
It was Wonder Woman
costume.
spin around 3 times.
Yeah,
outfit,
exactly. We'll give that, you know. Be able to breathe fire kind of scenario. Like, oh, okay, that's a little harsh, a little heavy to me on that sense. I'm like,
Halitosis. What?
Just saying. Here's some Listerine. She'd make a great commercial, a great model for Listerine. That's all I'm going to say. But I don't know. That might be not good. But I'm just saying that I agree with you. Like the different changes, like we said, we'll get into all her different origins. Having the ability to fly versus breathing it out. I guess I can see in their end, they're thinking like a jet propeller type of thing. You have, you need the heat, you need the fire to protect yourself forward. Okay. Do it from her hands. Do it from her feet. You know what I mean? I would have projected that. I would have said that, but doing it from her mouth, and I'm like, in a sense, like, it definitely, you absolutely got the right word. It felt rushed. It felt like something we need to make a character, and it was probably, as we will see, it's more of it wasn't supposed to be a long-term character. That's how I look at it. The character wasn't meant to, or created to be long-term. Make a couple of appearances, and then fade into the darkness. You'll see some green in the darkness, realizing, don't worry, fire's there. Oh, fire, we need to bring you back here. That type of scenario. Other than that.
Right, exactly.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and that's why I said, so, I liked, and now here's the part I liked about this, right? So you heard where I was like, no. But what I liked about it was it's a Brazilian heroine, or hero. Okay, whatever you want to
Heroine.
Thank you. Brazilian heroine.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. For once, we're outside of North America. Okay.
100%.
Right? Or Brazil. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm bad with geography. You know what I mean? It's not USA and it's not Canada. It's Brazil. Welcome to Brazil, Puerto Rico. Hey. Sorry, I gotta stop watching Fast and Furious. So she's from Brazil. I like that. I like that they said mystic. So now we're getting into every culture has their superstitions, has its beliefs, have their mysticisms to it. That is something I want to see more. Because 100%. The Mayans, the Aztecs, they have their gods. So if Shazam could call on the power of the gods, why not find out more about? And I don't know enough about it, about Brazil's background in the mystic arts, or what their superstitions are, or what their stories they might have had. I've heard that of lore, folklore within Brazilian culture. That is something to explore. That is something heavy to explore, especially that you've had this character to be the gateway for that. Especially if it's Mystic Flame, is this character an avatar? Is her power granted by somebody? It could have opened up a lot more with that. So that there, to me, is a point as a gateway to get into to Brazilian culture. And really,
the Mayans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mayans, right? Exactly, and
Mayans and Aztecs and stuff like that.
And they do have their share of gods. Everyone knows about Norse, Greek gods, or / Roman,
right?
And there's a lot of things on, and this is interesting with Fire and Ice. Now that I'm thinking about it, so Norse, Greek gods. People know about the Egyptian gods to a certain degree, within comic books, how they pertain. Thanks to other properties like, as I said, Shazam and Wonder Woman. They really did it. They actually did a 4-issue miniseries called War of the Gods, penciled by George Perez. Loved it. That I could, where she would fit into it depending on what it is. And if it's not that, then she would fall into that Dr. Fate category with mystic users because she's got mystic flames that come out of her mouth.
Right.
So that was one of her origins. And then she joined a team at the time, called the Global Guardians. Okay, meaning the Justice League is the Justice League, because at the time it was Justice League of America.
Right.
The Global Guardians were covering literally the rest of the globe, and it had people from all over the world. So I had a hero from Greece, Brazil, Japan, right, and represented. Like it was like United Nations of heroes, and it was funded by the United Nations.
Right.
It was Stormwatch before Stormwatch.
Nice. Good. Touche, sir. Touche.
Thank you. And that could have gone more into certain aspects if they would have given them the chance. So that's my point right there. And I said, I know you got a point there, and I can give you 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
And I said, now I know, she becomes a member of the Global Guardians, and when Superman's recruited by Dr. Mist, looking for assistance to find these ancient artifacts, so they kind of team up. So that's one thing. So meaning that she's got magical powers, and she's got to deal with the Man of Steel. Bum, 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 bum. What's Superman's weakness?
Crypto. Nice.
Kryptonite. That's one, but his other one.
Oh, and is mystical. Magic, which is just fun and magic, man.
That's right. So pretty much you could breathe on him and actually make Superman burn. Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. Burn, baby, burn. Da, 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 da. Okay. So that's where her powers are based on. Now, but we don't know enough about her powers or her backstory.
Right.
So that was one. She stole with the, Global Guardians. She goes in there and they have their adventures, and she meets her other colleagues from there. And there's another person called Ice Maiden that was there at the team, and Ice Maiden left the team at the time and then was replaced by another person, Ice, who we'll talk about later on. This is where Fire and Ice come in. So she goes in there. Now, post-crisis, Crisis of Infinite Earths, once again, they ordered, they redid the history and they changed her name. So she was renamed from, let's see here, from Beatrice da Costa, which I think that name was okay, to Beatrice Bonella da Costa. So they changed the name a little bit. And in this one, still got the magic flame powers, but she was a runway model. Okay, she's a runway model, showgirl, stage performer, and then she finds herself, serving as a top secret agent for the Brazilian government, the SNI, which is cervical national de information. I can't even say. So let's say Service National Information. There we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Or National Information Service. Okay, but I'm just putting it like literally as it is, the SNI.
Yeah.
So now this I find interesting because it's almost like that Sandra Bullock movie, right? Like it was a Deep Undercover or whatever, where she plays an FBI agent and she has to be a runway model. It was a comedy. It was a romantic comedy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Miscongeniality. Right.
Yes.
Once again, I mispronounced it. I know. So this origin I like. I like the fact that, okay, maybe she doesn't have to be a president of a Wayne division of, Wayne Enterprises. Right. I'm not saying because she can't be smart. I like the fact that her being a secret agent, posing as a runway model to get around, as a cover, which means she's trained in hand-to-hand combat, small weapons fire, intelligence. So she's still a strong, independent woman, still strong, not taking anything away from her. So it was like, I'd rather have the secret agent aspect over the CEO aspect who got powers through magic, right? I like the secret agent aspect who gets the power, who has a cover as a runway model, uses that to get around the world. I mean, like that TV show, which a lot of you will not remember. And if you do, you get extra points, called Cover Up, from way back in the days.
Wow.
Yeah. So now you got someone who's trained, and now she gets the power on top of it. I would still like to keep the magic side of it with her powers, with that training behind her. And of course, when she gets that, she still joins the Global Guardians. She's still a part of that UN sanctioned team, but it makes more sense why. You know, a CEO is going to have a certain frame of mind. They're going to try to run it like a business. And that doesn't work. Look at Maxwell Lord. Okay. You try to run the Justice League as a business, as opposed to him really truly being a hero and understanding being out in the field. If she was just supposed to be administrative, then I could say, okay, leave her as a CEO aspect. But she's a field agent. She's a field person. She's out there fighting villains. Right. So I like the secret agent aspect of it and using her powers that way. So that's my 2 cents.
So you know what? I'll piggyback off of that because I agree. Like you're saying before, my little disconcern from the previous before, her being a CEO or being a president of the Wayne Foundation or the Wayne Enterprises, the Brazilian division, that was okay with me. But you are absolutely correct in that regard. The stories could only kind of center either if something's happened in Brazil where she's going to have to take point, or it's something where someone has to come in and basically either something happened in Brazil, check. Something happens outside in Brazil and then it filters out. So she has to follow them. Right. Or something is outside of Brazil where someone outside, like a Batman, has to go in now, retrieve her. You need to come and get your guy. This is give us the information on this guy. This is a villain from your neck of the woods, pun and half pun intended. And we just need to know what, tell me about that person. So we're going to call you Beatrice. We need to talk. Fire or flame. Sorry, now I just went blank. Flame. Green Fury.
Green Fury, yeah.
Flame. I know it's in Flame. Green Fury. We need to talk about that. Now, being the model aspect of it, yes, I agree. I like that better because she has that more flexibility. She has the ability to go around being an undercover agent. She could just infiltrate, per se, any place. In the world of supermodels, there's always something going somewhere. There's always some type of runways, some type of, even if there's no fashion show, quote unquote, type of scenario. Hey, you're going to go to Paris to go and just have interviews or have conversation or network with, other models in that area. Oh, while you're there, we're doing parties and whatever the case to be. And at 1 o'clock, she disappears, does what she got to do and get back out. Where were you? Oh, I just wasn't feeling well. I went to the bathroom. Just had a little, just catch some air outside and doing whatever investigation stuff she has to do. Makes it even better if she has to go to some place. We'll make sure the party is just about a block away. Thanks, handler. Greatly appreciated. So I like that type of thing. And the thing is, while you're talking, I was trying to remember, I'm dead sure we talked about a character who was either an agent or we were basically pinpointing the same type of narrative that because they're an agent, they have that freedom of, has that ease of being seen and not being seen.
Right.
You're there, but what you're basically like, excuse me to make it sound like that, but you're like the Hobbit. That's why we picked you. That's why Gandalf brought you on here, man, because you're the best thief. No one recognized, no one pay attention to a Hobbit. You're in and out. Was Bria here? Beatrice is here? That's where I saw her. She's going to do what she has to do. So, I like that. So, making her powers, I'm just now that you say that, I'm trying to, let me look now. They never really, no, sorry. Yes, that's it. There it was. I thought it was the next section. Yeah. That her powers is basically, in the course of one of her missions, Beatrice was trapped in a pyroplasmic explosion that endower her with the powers of being able to exhale an 8-inch burst of flame. So basically, she'll make sure that she's covered by 8 inches of flame all around her. She's basically like the female Human Torch in that regard.
Which I'm fine with.
But no, that's what I'm saying. I'm okay with that too. But I agree with you. Honestly, I do agree with you. If they had the ability to bring some type of mystical aspect to it, make it feel as though like Flash. Although we say that Flash got hit in a lab, and then you start hearing some retcons saying like, well, Flash from the future shot the bolt. That, you know what I mean? Like I have that kind of
yes,
thing. So
exactly.
So let's just twist around in that and just say, okay, the Brazilian gods or mystical ancient ones in that sense granted her that and basically say, we've been watching you for a little while, little girl, and that kind of scenario. All of a sudden, we just made the situation that you be in a plasma explosion. We were able to infuse that with our powers. With our powers combined, you are now Green Fury.
Yes.
That's basically it. So I'm good with that. That's how my head, I agree with you on that. I'm definitely part on you on that one. That if they had the ability to keep that little nuance, because how often do you see any hero, heroine, from Brazil, definitely in those days. So it would have been great to build off of that, but it was still, like you said, a character that they probably were planning to have a very small
they didn't
amount
know, like, to be
of
created a
action.
character just to say she was there.
Correct.
They didn't
For
put
the
too much
global
thought into
guardians.
it. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. I don't know. I'm not the creator, right? I'm not trying to the crap on what they did. I mean, of course,
completely,
but yeah, I think they could have gone a little bit better. So
yeah,
that's it. She came out as Green Fury. Okay, fine. And then during that same mission, like, she started off as Green Fury, and then later on, she changed her name to the Green Flame. So now she's got the, she can still project the flame. She's got flame around her body, like the Human Torch. She's able to fly. And then, of course, that's when she starts having this friendship. Now, she's Brazilian, so she's got a very, be it passionate, she's got a very passionate, fiery personality, right? She's a true Brazilian woman with a lot of passion. So when they're excited, and when they're angry, and when they're happy, they are happy. There's no middle ground. It's just, that's how her personality is, and that's how they always portray her. She's very confident in how she dresses, how she projects herself, and she's, they say Brazilian women have that kind of flirtatiousness that sometimes exudes from them, a certain type of sexuality exudes from them, and that's from confidence. And they always write her that particular way. She's not the shy, oh my God, insecure. You never really see her with self-doubt. Okay, so you're a secret agent. You portray to be a runway model. You have these powers. So there's why I say I kind of nitpick. I want her to have the powers, be it magic, be it represent the Brazilian culture. Let her be the secret agent. Let her be the supermodel, be her cover to get in and out of countries. And that way it gets her in and out of France, it gets her in and out of any place that has a fashion show, which is usually major metropolitan cities. It puts you there in the hotbed of all that stuff. And just if you want to be real, let's look at anything that happens in the fashion world. You get people that are good, you get people that are bad. You get your drug dealers and your low lives that would show up at these events because they want to spend money, and you get your higher ups of society who are very influential that have money. So she's in a good position to gather information and take out people at the same time.
Completely.
And then later on, she ends up becoming a part of Checkmate, which is DC's version of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. So this more aligns with what I got going on. So that's where I think. And I mean, I know she comes over to America, and she has a mission with Infinity Inc., with a mission in Canada, and that's where she meets them. So Canada gets mentioned. So she goes from Brazil with an American superhero team to have a mission in Canada.
Recon, you're in there. Beautiful.
If they would have had a layover in Barbados, I would have been set. If they would have been in BIM, I would have been set. I'm like, oh, she's covered it all for me. Check. And and another part of her personality is she has this big sister, like she wants to be protective. So I don't know if she was, I'm assuming maybe she was an only child. I don't know. They never really kind of get into that in her background, and that's what I want to find out. They really get to understand her psyche and her character. So, as the saying goes, we'll put a pin in that. Right. And we're going to jump over now to Ice. Right? So if we go and look at Ice, because now the show is Fire and Ice, so that's one half there, right? We talked about Fire, and I'm gonna leave it off with a big sister thing because, and it's nothing to hide. It's just she acts like a big sister to the other superhero there, Ice.
Yes.
Or that's what she's known as now, but she had, different names before. So I'm gonna pull up my notes on Ice. And let's look at her. She had her thing. So Ice 2 was a part of the Global Guardians. That's where she met her. That's where Fire, or Green Fury, Green Flame, met her. Met Ice, and she didn't go by Ice at first. She was backing up, and I think I got this right. Another character. There used to be a character there called Ice Maiden. Ice Maiden was there for a while, and then Ice Maiden ended up leaving. So then Ice came over and became the new Ice Maiden.
Ice Maiden
on the Global Guardians at the time. Now, poor Ice. They. All right, this poor character went back and forth, retcon this, retcon that. There we go. So she was also a part of the Global Guardians, and she was created she was created later on. So Ice Maiden is who we see in the Global Guardians with Green Fury, Green Flame. So you're not seeing the Ice we're talking about at this point. You're seeing Ice Maiden, and those two have been there. They had a friendship going on, and of course, I think it's a play of words. Fire and Ice. It kind of goes to their personality. But Beatrice's true friend is Ice, the second Ice Maiden. And that character was created by Keith Griffin and J.M. DeMaltese and Kevin Maguire. And she made her first appearance in Justice League International number 12 in April of 1988. Okay, now I know. So this is where it's at. So this is where Beatrice, now at this point, Beatrice has gone from going from Green Flame, and she started calling herself just Flame, or just before that. So the whole story was the Global Guardians, as I mentioned before, were funded by the United Nations. These are heroes from all over the world, outside of America, and this is what the team they're on. Now, at one point, Justice League International starts to happen. So that's like, Justice League International. And that's when Batman was on the team and he punched out Guy Gardner, which was hilarious. And this comic book had a little bit more of a whimsical storytelling to it with some action. Very popular, ran for a good while. So it gave Batman a little bit of a lighter side at moments, but he was still dark. He was a straight man. It was Black Canary. It was Red Rocket. He was, so pretty much you picture it was a Russian Iron Man. So there we go. And John Jones, Black Canary, and I'm trying to do this from memory. I think I've got most of them covered there. Blue Beetle's on the team, and then later on Booster Gold joins. So they're on the team. So yeah, this is where a lot of the humor would come from, with Booster, Blue Beetle, and then seeing the power struggle between Batman and Guy Gardner, because Guy Gardner was just a dick. And yeah, it was hilarious.
Guy was just being Guy, basically. Guy was being Guy.
Guy was being Guy. So this is where it is. So at this point, Maxwell Lord turned around. He's just formed the Justice League International. He says, he went to the UN, says, hey, you guys should fund our team, Justice League International, instead of putting your money into any other team, because our team has got, these renowned heroes. These guys have been around. The Justice League, everyone knows Justice League. The Justice League covers, even though it used to be Justice League of America, they used to still go out there and defend the world. They deal with the heavy hitters. The heavy hitters are on the team. So Max, as a businessman, made a business proposal and he sold it to the UN. The UN turned around and said, good idea, but it's Justice League America. And it's like, no, we've changed our name to Justice League International. Give me money. And they said yes. So they stopped funding the Global Guardians because Max was able to make a business proposal for the UN, and they started funding Justice League International. This is why they got, they didn't have headquarters, they had embassies. So this is why they had an embassy in New York. This is why they had an embassy over in Paris, France, and that was Justice League Europe. These are where these embassies came from, because Maxwell Lord started kind of, branching it out like a franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a Justice League Antarctica.
I remember, yep.
Hard luck. Okay, so at this point, Fire and Ice turned around, or you should say Ice Maiden in a moment, and Green Flame turned around and said, hey, they're disbanding the Global Guardians because we're losing our funding through the UN. So it was Green Flame's idea to turn around and take who she saw as her little sister, which was Ice Maiden, Ice, the second one I was saying, who we're talking about, go over to the Justice League International, and then made a case of why they should be on the team. And it was basically something along the lines of, you're Justice League International, but you don't have enough international people on the team. I'm from Brazil. and she's from
Ice is from Norway.
yeah, she's from Norway. So it would add to your international. And Maxwell Lord went, "You're in."
I like the way you think there, buddy. I like the way you think.
Exactly. So this is how they got on the team. This is where they started having that friendship. Now the personalities are different. Just as I was saying that, Beatrice was very, passionate and very an extrovert.
Outgoing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tora, different person. Very shy
Introvert.
demeanor, a little bit naive, innocent, believes in
Naive.
good people.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. She was always very soft spoken, but her powers could not be messed with. Picture Iceman amped up.
100%.
And he's an Omega level mutant. Okay.
Already.
Right.
So she has the power. She has the ability to create ice, to manipulate ice. And just letting that think for a second. Like, you have Iceman who have the ability to create ice, and manipulating, that's a different level. If you have the ability to create ice, solid ice objects, and be able to utilize that to the best of your abilities, defensive or offensive, whatever is needed at the particular time. Yes, you do.
Yeah. I think we needed someone like Grant Morrison to really sit down with this character and get into the nuances of what her power could be. Like when Grant Morrison started writing Justice League, and there was a point where the White Martians were invading, but they portrayed to be other type of superheroes, and they're fighting the Justice League. That was their first kind of outing when Grant Morrison was behind it. And he wrote a little blurb there with Aquaman. So Aquaman's surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and everyone's like, "Look, you're in the Arctic, you're Aquaman, you just talk to fish. What are you going to do? We're not afraid of you." And Aquaman went, "Okay, yeah, but you see, all life came from the sea, including man. So therefore, each person in them still has the original cells and breakdown of that one amoeba that came from the sea." And everyone's like, He goes, "So I don't really so much talk to fish as opposed to use my telepathic abilities to get into your minds. So what I'm doing right now, if you guys don't notice, is, are you feeling that you're having some headaches? Well, I've just found that amoeba part in you that's born in every human being, and I'm giving you all a seizure right now." And the whole group of them just dropped down and he gave a whole group of people seizures. Didn't even lift a finger to punch nobody. And he's like, "Yep, I have low-level telepathic abilities. You guys don't even know." And he just started going about his business and left them in a mess without throwing a punch. You need someone like Grant Morrison, Jeff Johns, someone who really, and I'm only using those two, there's more out there, that would really sit down and say, what can I do with this person's power to show how powerful she is? It's never been, in my opinion, fully shown. So that's my thing. So Tora, and we'll go with, let me go back to my notes. So, oh my gosh. Tora, Olaf's daughter.
Olaf's daughter.
Olaf's daughter. Thank you. Tora, Olaf's daughter, is her name. Now, once again, it's always, her origin, revised origin, Infinite Crisis, pre-Infinite, retconned. Bottom line, she's a princess of an isolated tribe of magic welding Norsemen.
That's it.
Let that sink in for half a second. She's a magic welder. Once again, that's Superman's weakness. That's magic. Oh, wait a minute. Beatrice, magic. Oh, okay. From an isolated tribe. Okay. All right. So she's not naive in the ways of, she might not understand a lot of things in the way of the world overall, but she's from a tribe. So she's in Norse. That means winter. She knows how to survive harsh winters. She's gotten some training. Norsemen. And when you think Norsemen, you're thinking Vikings. You're thinking people pillaging and okay. She can throw down. I never
110%.
Anytime you see something with a Norseman involved, they throwing down. Watch Vikings.
Right. And the thing is, she's a princess, so you have to understand that I would believe, although she's a princess of a very isolated village of that type of, she's a magic wielding Norseman. So I believe her father would have made sure that at least you should be able to defend yourself. So in that sense, you may be a little soft spoken, naive, whatever the case may be. But she would be able to put some licks in you that you'd be like, oh, can someone help me? I, I can't take it. Oh God, no. And start, people passing out and crying when she comes into the room. Yeah, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
That could be a problem.
Let's put it this way. Take the movie Frozen.
Yeah.
Combine that with Vikings.
Blah.
And now you got Torah.
Blah.
She's the original Frozen princess before the movie Frozen came out. Disney, you're looking suspect. You're looking suspect, Disney. You're looking suspect.
You want to make a snowman?
You're looking suspect. You're looking suspect. You might have to talk to DC. DC Warner Brothers might have to talk to you. I'm seeing similarities in your characters because Torah also had a sister, and her powers were manipulating like flowers or something like that. Ice Flower. Her sister's name was Ice Flower.
Ice Flower. Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Frozen the movie.
Just saying.
I'm just saying. Unless you had the idea back in 1988, looking kind of suspect. I'll throw flames on that fire. No pun intended. So this is where she comes into, and I know she had a difference opinion. So when she came about. So in a Danish graphic novel, Superman and the Tale of Five Cities, Superman and Lois Lane visit Oslo and encounter Ice, a local superhero, and her sister Ice Flower. And they gave the names or the Danish names. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, so you're welcome. And the famous Frogner Park. Okay, so once again, Superman has encountered both of these characters. This character came about years later, almost like 10 years later.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Pretty
much like 10 years later, 10 years later than Fire. Both of them part of the Global Guardians. Both of them turn around and join. And then they form like a really close friendship. They're like best friends, the two of them. So they say opposites attract. When Rod was saying opposites attract, this really goes in. One, their powers are completely opposite. Their personalities are completely opposite, but they care for each other and they respect each other. And Fire looks after Ice as a little sister.
Right.
And sees her as a little bit naive and not seeing the world as what it is. So when Ice, at one point, Guy Gardner gets bonked in the head really hard. Like I can't remember if it was Batman. No, I was thinking Batman punched him or something hit him in the head. And it changed Guy Gardner from being this kind of male chauvinistic pig to a nice, sweet, easygoing person. Like it totally changed his personality. And people couldn't understand what was going on. But no matter which version of Guy Gardner there was, be it if it was a nice, sweet guy or the chauvinist, both of them still had a major crush, major feelings for Ice and kept asking her out. And she kind of put it off. She was like, oh, well, Guy's so sweet. Guy was always sweet to her. He showed his gruff exterior to everyone else. And Beatrice was always saying, no, Ice, you're not seeing what he wants. He just wants to get in your pants. No, he's really a nice guy. It's like, So that would form this little kind of, the tag-along friend. And to the point where Beatrice turned around and she's like, hey, Guy, if you do anything to hurt her, I will burn parts of you off that you'll never use again. And like she threatened him like a sister would, boyfriend. Yeah. And to Guy's thing, even though Guy did act a certain way, Guy really cared about Ice. So let's just get that there. He wasn't looking to get into her pants. He was looking to have a relationship with her, a long-term relationship with her.
Relationship.
Right. Yeah. He wasn't looking at her as a one-night stand, right? So he never looked at her that way. I know everyone how you see Guy, generally speaking, would assume so. How he was written to points, he would assume so. But anytime it was him and Ice, he got off the macho kick.
Got it.
So it was nice to see that she brought this out from him. But she was always a little bit naive, and she always thought she was bringing out the best of him. So that was her origin. Pretty much Viking Frozen princess. There we go. That's how I'm sticking with that one.
Okay.
So what are your feelings on that one, Rod?
So with her having the abilities, that she has, we're finding what I would like to hear some more is the mythic aspect of it. It goes the same thing with Fire. We're finding out that, okay, so her particular village, her culture, her people are very unique. They're isolated, so it gives you that type of feeling like Wonder Woman and Themyscira, that it's kind of like isolated island, that there are in the same world time frame, but not part of that world.
Yes.
So I would guess again, or speculate that this particular character, again, the naiveness is basically because she's been, not sheltered, but she's grew up in a particular culture, a particular understanding of way of life on that, in her existence. Now she comes outside and she comes to the modern world and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great, those are story points that'll be great to stoke the fire on. Let's get a little more deeper on that and understand that. Where does she get her power? Is it genetics? Is it mystical due to an
rituals,
heirlooms, some kind of practice that she has to do? Maybe she has to do like in in Darkest Day and Darkest Nights, once a year. She has to come back home and get a mystical recharge. Who knows? You know what I mean?
True.
But we don't know anything about that. So I would really like to hear some more on that for her. And I like that in that sense that Fire was first 10 years prior. Mm-hmm. Now you have another character who is now on the other side of the spectrum, like, literally 180 of the other characters of Fire. But the origin aspect of it was both vague, but they're both mystical based, like you said. So it's a great thing that we are the lucky ones now to see that DC had written these characters to kind of work alongside each other, and realizing, I'm sure through enough issues, enough responses, they started to get some good feedback from people and realize, we need to write these characters together. We need to put them together and just go from there. So, that's what I would like to see. Again, her origin is Iceman type basis type of power, manipulation of ice, creating ice. So yeah, I would like to see how long she's been having these powers. Has she mastered her craft, or is she still a novice? Or she's just enough just to handle herself, but she said, I know I still got more training to do, and go from there. She turns into an Aang who is great at wind bending.
Wicked.
But we need to now go to the other realms to just like, I could do some fire, but I need to be taught by a master to use my full potential. So that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. So this is what I'm saying. So with that, in the Global Guardians, I know that was her origin, right? She's coming from that Viking village. So bottom line, can she fight? Yes. She's not going to fight the same way as Beatrice, where Beatrice, in my opinion, would be trained as a martial artist, would be trained in hand-to-hand combat. Her hand-to-hand combat, as much as she looks as, she's got like white hair, she seems very, demeanor and stuff like that. But in a fight, I think she would fight more as a Viking. So it's very blunt force trauma. She's not going to be finesse of trying to do a spin kick. She's going to pick up a club and just bludgeon you and punch you in the face, because that's their fighting style.
Valkyrie.
Okay. Thank you.
She would basically be Valkyrie.
Yeah, exactly.
I will give her that type of Nordic type of approach. I will give her the Valkyrie type of fighting style. Once you say fighting style, I'm like thinking, I know I've seen that somewhere. Marvel side, Valkyrie. So yeah,
Valkyrie.
I will definitely say that. Yeah.
Because you don't see, you won't see, for example, Thor doing a roundhouse. You'll just see Thor punching somebody. Okay. Batman will do a roundhouse. Thor wouldn't do a roundhouse. Okay.
I'm the son of Odin. I don't got time for that.
He's just
I'm the son of Odin. I don't do that. I just come in with the hammer.
That's
Who
right.
dare defies me? I'm the son of Odin. In your face.
It's gonna be more of a boxing style. That's what his style gonna be, as opposed to a martial art style. So that's what I'm saying for one part of it. Now I know when she joined the Global Guardians, her town was found by this guy named Rod, who brought her, no relation to DJ Rod C, brought her over to join the the Global Guardians and meet Dr. Mist, become the second Ice Maiden, and that's where it goes up to what point where I say she got, they were not funded anymore by the UN. Now going forward, they do join the Justice League. They do have their individual adventures, and then there's a whole love triangle. She finds she's She has a crush, Ice, I'm talking about, has a crush on Superman, but it's not returned. She knows Superman has somebody there. She's like, oh, Superman. Just like people would see, oh, Henry Cavill. Oh, okay. Okay, great. You can have a crush on him. Doesn't mean it's going to come back. But her and Guy did have a relationship, and that relationship did kind of go on and off. And then there was one particular adventure with the Justice League. She ends up dying. And that just kind of it put fire over the edge. She just loses it because this villain named Overmaster was the one that ended up killing her. And, of course, be it DC, let's wrap it up. Nobody stays dead unless you're Barry Allen. Wait a minute. They brought him back too. Right on. So no one dies in comic books. You always keep coming back. That's the beauty of it,
Hilarious.
So they go through all this. And at that point, when she does come back, she's been dead for a while. Fire is working totally with Checkmate. And then in Checkmate, I'm not sure, I think it must have been volume 2 or volume 3 of Checkmate, where she joins up. Ice does come back in issue number 16, and it starts that friendship again. Guy Gardner comes in, and he's kind of mellowed out, but he's still now full Green Lantern. So there's a lot of things in there. So let's get down and keep to the main point. Main points are 2 characters, opposite ends of the totem, Fire and Ice, literally. Both powers based in magic. A lot of stuff open. I think this would have been with Tora. Even then, they do mention that she has a grandfather, she has a brother, and her brother tried to take over. And when their dad died, the brother tried to take over the tribe to become the new king. But he had evil intentions for that village. So that caused a lot of tension between the two of them. This seems more and more like Frozen. DC, you better talk to Pixar. All right, so this is what it comes down to. I would like to see a lot more of that explored. We get a little bit more of an origin with Ice. We know she's got a grandfather. We know she's got parents. We know. I would like to see if her powers are really based in magic, which they say they are. Then is it magic from the gods? Because as Vikings in a small tribe, right, in a hidden tribe, they would still have beliefs in Odin and Freya and Thor and Baldar and Loki. They would have that belief system. That's what they've known their whole lives. So that to me makes sense. And that once again could be a good segue into, Brazilian Mayan gods, Norse gods, and making this more of a grand, starts off on a base level. And it can really open up this into the supernatural with a lot of, once again, cultural background, folklore, and history. That's my point there. I like these. Don't get me wrong. I really like these 2 characters, and there is so much more to learn about them, given that DC would get behind them. To give them maybe a mini series, a maxi series, but don't make it a fluff piece. Don't make it a fluff piece. Make it like, it doesn't have to be dark and gloomy, but make it really informative and put a nice serious tone to it.
Listen, I will agree in a sense. For one, you can't make this a dark one, because these characters aren't dark.
No.
These characters are dark, so let's go straight from it. Let's take the dark aspect off the table right away. What I would say is we are looking at a buddy cop type of scenario. You're looking at opposite attracts. You're looking at the what's that old one from back in the days? The one with oh my god, the guy who played Quincy, basically from back in the days, like the couple, the 2 opposite people who live together.
Oh, the Odd Couple.
Odd Couple. Everything but the right word. So we can start off with that.
Yes.
We can start off with that type of comedy, not comedy, but we can definitely there's humor in that particular show. We can kind of pull off of that, because you're having the outgoing person, who just not saying have fun, but who is just who has no problem just being an introvert, an outrovert, and just basically talking to people. And just I'm going to drag my friend Tora. Let's go out. No, I don't want to. Let's go out and have fun, or something along that line. And you're going to see that although one is the opposite, you will, throughout that series, you'll see that they're learning attributes from each other and how it's building them to be a better person. So I would definitely like to see that. I would say correct that I want this to be a cartoon, not a cartoon. I mean a series, like a mini series.
Okay.
My head is trying to debate if I want a cartoon anime type or like a CW. Because then right now, the CW aspect of it, like, okay, listen, we know this is the last season for Flash.
Yeah.
But what they were doing with Frost, they were giving some good movement with Frost.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? To at least be able to give us the good illusion with, I'm sure it costs money for budgets and there's stuff along that line. Yeah. But you had that ability. If you want to go in early, Flash, you had Firestorm. So whatever method that they were doing there, they could do the same thing with fire.
Of course.
So I actually would like a live adaptation of it. And give me a mini series. Give me, if possible, at least give me like 2 seasons. And I want to have them pulling from the Arrow Slight type of universe, bringing that type of storylines that it builds off of them, / giving you that feel of the Birds of Prey type of scenario. Again, they're in that universe. We're in the DC world. You have the call-outs, you have name drops of other characters, whatever the case.
Yes.
You have global conversation about global. Then you have the conversation of maybe in this particular universe, they get hired by global. But you see if an aspect through their eyes. So it turns into, as I say it turns into like Supergirl, who basically was part of the DOC, the DOA type of scenario.
Right.
Where she was still there. But you never focus. You just notice that there's an organization. She's there. But when we're inside there, it was always about the 4 main characters. We talked about them. You see people walking around, like people who work here, they're getting paid. Someone's getting a bi-weekly check for working here, but that's it. So we could do something along that line and have some kind of interaction with the global
Guardians.
With Global Guardians. Then we can spin off and just say, okay, you know what? We're going to do something slightly different where, this again turns into the buddy cop. Look, listen, we can do crimes for ourselves. I think we can handle it. Let's go. Let's get a room together, turn into the odd couple. And then boom, we start fighting crime. They turn into their version of Heroes for Hire and call it a day.
Well done. I'm on the same thing with you right there. So, all right. So we're going to get into our part of where we want to see this and fancast it. So here we go. So I want to say this. I agree with you with the CW. I think with the Flash ending, DC Legends Tomorrow is done. Arrow is done. Right. CW might be looking for another property to do. Right now they've got Superman and Lois. I like what I see. Cool. Looking forward to the next season, or the new season starting. So when this comes up, the season will be out that day or that week. So I'm looking forward to watching it, and especially with the new actor taking over as his one of his twin sons, because the original actor decided to step back for mental health, and I hope he's doing better. So I would not, as a big movie, no. I want to see this as a CW series. Yeah. I would say, you're saying 2 seasons. I say give me 5, right?
Well, let's
right. I'm not describing what you're saying.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking on that aspect and building up to that, you can definitely get more. But at least if you get at least 2 seasons in, that should be enough that you have you pass the first season. You can build off of that to make a second season, and by that build into third and so forth. But if you give me at least 2, then you're getting enough momentum from people to say, okay, this is a good one. Carry on. Right.
So here I go when I say 5. So I mean 5 seasons. Okay, so give me season number 1. You establish who Fire and Ice are, get a little bit in their backstories, right? Season 2. So we see the characters present day. This is after the Global Guardians have broken up. You put them in there at season 1. Let them kind of find their footing. Since now they've lost their UN footing, but they still have their contacts. They still have the people they're dealing with. There's still villains out there to deal with. Beatrice is still within the secret organization. And don't forget, Tora is a princess. So she might be hearing stuff from back home, and they're dealing with that, but still being friends and helping each other out. That's season 1. Season 2 would get more into maybe seeing what those plot lines are and seeing how maybe they've crisscrossed over each other right?
Mm-hmm.
And causing like, okay, so now we know Tora, magic, Beatrice, magic. Okay, you're fire, ice. Okay, blah, 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 blah. You're dealing with the secret agent stuff and stuff happening in Brazil. You're dealing with stuff, happening back in your homeland in Norway. All of a sudden, wait a minute. Maybe the trickster god from Norway is dealing up with a trickster god from the Mayans and has gotten together, to deal with something, and you have to go with another aspect of that. That would be season 2. Let's go full throttle. We need backup. Season 3, slow reformation of the Global Guardians. Let the guys who are Global Guardians show up the odd episode here and there, but then really bring the team together as a Global Guardian. So it's Fire and Ice, and have like a 5, arc storyline with all the Global Guardians. Let that be a big throwdown, and that could be a season 3. Season 4, get in there and let's finally say what's going on, because if their powers are within magic and they're the avatars for these things, let's really open it up to a folklore, mythicism scale and dealing with their gods and seeing, hey, and finding out more. And then season 5, wrap up everything, wrap up all those storylines, give it a strong finish. Thank you very much. Do we have syndication? Boom, we're good to go. That's where it is. Now, CW would write this well, because I like the writing that CW has done with Flash. Not all the times, but a lot of times I find it very strong. With Arrow, it was able to have the seriousness with the levity involved, and the same thing with Superman. So how they write Superman and let those other characters make a guest appearance, like, of course, Superman's still active, and he's active literally in both their books. Like, Superman was there for meeting both of them individually. So they should know Clark. So they should put this Fire and Ice in the Superman and Lois universe, not in another universe. Let them know this Superman and interact with this Superman. And that would add more to some of the stories and guest appearances and crossovers. Make it easier. They don't have to jump universes. So that's where I'm thinking, like 5. So 1, it's on them. 2, a little bit more about their origins, slow formation of the Global Guardians. 3, let's really get into the Global Guardians. 4, let's deal with the gods who've given them their powers. And then 5, let's go out with a bang by wrapping everything up and ending it off. And then ending, hey, are we still best of friends? Are we staying together? I know my people might need me, and your duties might need you. But don't have it as a bittersweet ending. Have it as like, hey, you know what? We're friends first, and we'll figure all this out. And I don't know, maybe make an appearance where Guy Gardner shows up. It's like, hey, how you doing, ladies? And he'd be like, and then cut it off, and then let that kind of parlay into the Green Lantern Corps at one point. Just a small roles for them until they find another role. That's where it is. So for me, CW, definitely for sure. 5 seasons, easy, no problem. Write it well, like how they do it. Put it in the Superman and Lois universe. I'm all in. And there's so much that you have for whoever takes on the writing of duties for this. And there's so much more they can do with it. So that's where my passion stands with.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So on that note, time to fan casting. Rock, I'm going to ask you, who would be your duo? Who would be your fire and who would be your ice? Hit me with it.
Okay. All right. So my fire, I would go for Camila Mendez. Now, Camila Mendez, if you've watched the latest installment of Riverdale, this is a young lady who plays Veronica Lodge.
Oh.
So I was looking for 2 things. I wanted to at least try to keep it as, have a cultural base. So least from Brazil, Latina. So at least she can at least draw from, her own personal experience. Yes. And again, even if it's something she may not know, she has internally personal family members who, she can draw information from and draw from. So I wanted to have that. So I looked it up and I came across her name and I realized, wait a minute, Veronica, she does show on that show. She is a very high profile type lady. So can she play as a model? Sure. Yeah. Can she be an outgoing type of individual? Yes. So, these are small little factors that you can see, but I'm like thinking, yeah, Veronica's, growing up and reading, Veronica's always been that outgoing 1 out of 2. Again, that's the similar aspect of Betty and Veronica is basically the ice, fire and ice in that particular realm. You always had the two opposite ends.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good for me. So I went with her for that. Then I went with Nicola Peltz Beckham. Now, again, I was trying to see if I could find someone Norway, Danish, at least in that. And I just wasn't finding anybody that, brought it for me. And then I came across Nicola, and then I remember right. She played Tessa Yeager on Transformer Age of Extinction. So she could play the nice girl who has that nice, the girl next door type of, she was playing like the all-American girl type of, oh, I'm just so nice and free and I'm so good and I'm so wholesome. And then her father thinks he's wholesome. And all of a sudden she's in the car drifting down the road, with, Buddy Boy. Hey,
yeah,
keep your hands off my daughter. Oh,
right. Okay.
So she has the ability to not say switch it up, but she can give you that naive kind of look, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure if you give her the proper training and put this is how you're going to have to fight, Norwegian style and be able to take someone else. Yeah. So that's a little, at least a couple of the points I wanted to bring for Nicola and, Pamela. That's my fire and ice.
Well done, sir. Well done. Tip of the hat for you. All right. So those are your two for fire and ice. All right. I like that pairing. I'm going to hit you up with mine. So, for fire, I was going with, Morena, Baccarin. And you're going to say, who the heck is that? She was, in Serenity. She was in Firefly. She played Deadpool's girlfriend in the Deadpool movies. In the first one, the one he got married to, Jessica.
Hold on. Serenity. I can see who you're talking right there. Like,
yeah, exactly. If you do the cast of Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds,
yeah. Okay. Morena Baccarin.
Yep.
Okay. Why did I'm sure at the time when the movie came out, I knew that was her. Now I'm like, I went completely left and Vanessa. I went completely left. That's Vanessa.
That's Vanessa. So she plays Vanessa in the Deadpool movies with Ryan Reynolds. So she is my fire. Enough said. You seen Deadpool? It stands for itself. You watch Firefly, Serenity, stands for itself. It
100%.
Right on. 100%. So I don't even have to go further than that with her. Now, and of course, and keeping what you're saying, keeping the cultural background, she is a Brazilian background. So she can definitely pull from that. Muy caliente. All right. Now for my ice. I'm going with Ingrid Bolso Burdell. Ingrid Bolso. Ingrid Bolso Burdell.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I'm going with as my so she's a Norwegian actress. She's done a ton of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had so many here. I had to go back to my list. That we would recognize here.
No way. Hold on. Westworld?
So she was in Westworld TV show.
Whoops. Okay.
Yeah. And she is Norwegian.
Right.
So, both actresses, they have that look. She's got, as I said, she was in a ton of TV shows and movies, right? So she was in The Spy and Hansel and Gretel, and the list goes on and on. I mean, she's got a ton of work here.
Yeah, she's been a little busy.
She's been a little busy. This actress has been working, nonstop. She was in Hercules with Dwayne Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, but the most thing people know her from is Westworld on the HBO series.
Right.
All right, then. That's who I'm going with. So that's my pairing there for Fire and Ice.
Okay, that's a good run.
You know, I think she does portray that. She's got the look of Ice. You know what I mean? Changed her hair a little bit to really reflect the characters. She's got that nice warm smile and definitely can pull off that she's got the look like she could be sweet and innocent, but then there's other times when you see her serious, you know it's about to go down. Forget it.
Right. No.
Like I can see her with a battle axe in her hand or punching someone in the face and no one expecting it because she's gonna be so sweet and everything, and then someone's gonna say something and she's just gonna really like a Mike Tyson punch, not a little karate chop. It's gonna be pop, and everyone's like,
by the eyes of Thundera. What the shit?
Exactly. I do this for Odin. What? Pop. And down they go, and they be like, I was like, what do you expect? I was raised by Vikings. My dad's a Viking. My brother's a Viking. My granddad's a Viking. We don't do roundhouses. We do chops and punches and uppercuts and eye gouges. You know, yeah. We do fisticuffs. We don't do karate chops. Right. And I'm not saying anything wrong. It's just for her as a Viking, that's their fighting style. Where Beatrice would be trained in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, for example. Right. She would know things more like capoeira.
Yeah.
You know, the Brazilian, right. Yep. Like DJ from Street Fighter. Okay. That would be her fighting style. Give me that. You know, or the guy there from Tekken. Okay. All right. So she would have that. Their fighting styles would be different, and it has to reflect. They really have to make that reflect to keep the cultural aspect of it. That's my point. So CW, these are my two actresses I'm going with. You know, I'm going with Ingrid and Miranda. Case closed.
Okay. No, that sounds good. I might have to see you on that one. Definitely the first one. Let me just get back to her. Marina.
Yeah.
You're out of my mind now. I can't get past Serenity. I can see her. You're right. Like, it took me a second to realizing, yes, she was also in Deadpool. Like, I forgot to put that. I'm sure at the time the movie came out, I knew that they were together. But every time now I see her Deadpool, I see Serenity. I forgot this one in this.
Merge and form Voltron.
Nice. Okay. All right. That's cool. I like that. I like it.
Awesome. Well, on that note, that brings us to the end of the show, people.
Hold on. I think I just saw a clip. Yeah. Sorry. I just forgot. She's also does the voice of Gideon. Okay. Get off. We're done with the show.
Okay. So she really works with CW. Thank you. And we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. See, Rod's just making a point for me. So, you know what? On that note, thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been the iConis podcast, and we really appreciate it. As I always say, like, subscribe, and share. Rod is cursing himself because he just gave me a point. And remember, you can find all my links at Barry3D down below. Barry3D.com. That's my website. You can find all my links, including this show. Rod, where can everyone find you?
But you can find me in the world of web, Instagram. You can find me at Dr. Shaking, at Mr. Rod C, MRRODC. You can definitely find me on the Twitch world at twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Yes. And also you can find me on TikTok at DJ Rod C1. If I remember, so 1. I just got that the other day, so it's still in my head.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. No problem.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll put it in the basement down there.
Awesome. So as I said, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions or anything like that, please put them in the comments below. We always reply to anybody. Follow us on our social media. Let's keep it going. And I always say, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out. And I'm not singing the song from Frozen. I refuse to do that one.
Do you want to build a snowman?
No.
La, 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 la. No. My kid
I'm more about Disco Inferno. Dun, 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 dun. Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno.
Hollywood burn,
baby, burn.
Hollywood burn.
We gone.
Burn, Hollywood burn. I feel right going on. Oh, sorry. Did I sound loud?
Look at me. Oh. Okay, we got.